Daniel was sitting in his luxurious chair, gazing at the panoramic view of the city through the large windows of his office. The sunlight reflected off his desk, illuminating the neatly organized documents that represented his most recent acquisitions. The recent purchase of a tech startup made him anxious. He knew the potential of that company was enormous, but the pressure to make it a success was overwhelming. As he ran his fingers through his brown hair, he remembered a moment that had deeply marked him: his encounter with Lily at the design conference. The memory of Lily was like a cool breeze on a hot day. She was a brilliant designer with a creative vision that fascinated him from the first moment. The way her eyes sparkled when she talked about her ideas and the passion she had for her work was contagious. Daniel remembered how they had gotten lost in a conversation about the future of design and technology, feeling an instant and inexplicable connection. "Do you really believe that technology can change the world?" he had asked. And Lily, with a confident smile, replied, "I believe it can, but only if used with creativity and purpose." Her words echoed in his mind, and he realized that that conversation had planted a seed in his heart. As Daniel reviewed the plans for the new startup, a mixture of anxiety and anticipation enveloped him. He knew he needed Lily's vision to transform the company. However, the idea of reaching out to her made him uncomfortable. He didn't want to mix business with feelings, especially considering the attraction that continued to grow in his chest. "What if she doesn't want to meet me again?" he thought, biting his lower lip. Across the city, Lily was in her small office, surrounded by sketches and prototypes of her projects. The soft afternoon light filtered through the windows, creating a tranquil atmosphere. She had received a call that left her intrigued. Daniel's company wanted to hire her for a new project. Her heart raced upon hearing his name. The chemistry they had shared at the conference was still fresh in her memory, and the idea of seeing him again made her excited, but also apprehensive. What will I say to him? What if the connection isn't the same? Lily murmured to herself as she looked at the drawings on her desk. Finally, determined not to let her insecurities hold her back, Lily took a deep breath and began to organize her ideas. "I'm a professional. This is just work," she told herself, trying to convince herself. At the same time, part of her longed to relive that special moment they had shared. The day of the meeting arrived, and Daniel was anxious. He had chosen an elegant cafe, a place that reflected the modernity of his business vision. When Lily walked in, his heart raced. She looked stunning, wearing a dress that accentuated her slender figure and exuding confidence with every step she took. "Hi, Daniel," she said, with a smile that made the world around them seem to disappear. "Hi, Lily. It's great to see you again," he replied, trying to hide the nervousness in his voice. They sat down, and as they discussed the project, the attraction between them was palpable, like an invisible thread connecting them. With each word exchanged, the tension increased, but both felt uncomfortable mixing business with emotions. "I really admire what you've done with your startup," Daniel commented, trying to steer the conversation to safer ground. "The ideas you brought to the conference were inspiring." "Thank you, Daniel. I really believe we can create something amazing together," Lily replied, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. But soon, a shadow of hesitation crossed her face. "I just hope this doesn't hurt our personal connection." Daniel felt a chill in his stomach. "I hope so too," he said, the sincerity in his voice revealing how much the situation bothered him. "But we need to focus on the project, right?" The conversation continued, full of creative ideas and passionate discussions about the future. However, the emotional tension was always present, and both knew they would need to deal with their feelings sooner or later. The line between love and business was becoming increasingly blurred, and the uncertainty of what was to come loomed over them like a cloud about to burst. Daniel stared at the computer screen with a tense expression. The figures flashing on the spreadsheet reflected the chaos that was setting in his company. The market was tough, and despite his innovative vision, something was wrong. He needed a quick and effective solution, but at the same time, his thoughts wandered to Lily. The designer, with her brilliant ideas and unique way of seeing the world, brightened his cloudy days. What could have been a simple business partnership was turning into something deeper, a bond he couldn't ignore. "Daniel, are you there?" Lily's soft voice interrupted his thoughts. He looked up and saw her entering his office, with a smile that made his heart race. She carried a folder full of sketches and notes, her eyes shining with expectation. "I'm here, yes. Come please, let's discuss your ideas," he replied, trying to hide the concern that consumed him. As she approached, Daniel remembered how that connection had begun. Their first meeting, full of tension and chemistry, still resonated in his mind. Now, working together seemed natural, and he wondered if this could turn into something more. Lily sat in one of the chairs across from him and began to present her ideas for the project. "I thought of something that could really make our startup stand out in the market. If we can combine design and technology in an innovative way, we can capture the public's attention," she said, her eyes sparkling. "I like it," Daniel commented, leaning forward, interested. "But we need something that not only grabs attention, but is also sustainable. Our company's situation isn't good." "You're worried about the financial situation?" Lily asked, her expression shifting from enthusiasm to concern. "I feel like you have something else on your mind." He hesitated for a moment, but decided to be honest. "Yes, the truth is, we're facing a crisis. We need to find a solution quickly, and I don't want to lose you in the process." Lily looked at him intently, realizing the gravity of the situation. "We'll manage, Daniel. Together, we can find a way out, but we need to be transparent with each other." "You're right," he agreed, feeling lighter after sharing his thoughts. "You're a crucial part of this. Your vision might be what we need to turn things around." But as they discussed and created new ideas, a restlessness began to grow in Daniel's chest. He knew that the competition was lurking. He had heard rumors about a large company trying to infiltrate the market and steal innovations from startups like theirs. In a moment of vulnerability, he wondered if he could really protect Lily and her feelings. The next morning, Daniel called a meeting with his team. As soon as everyone was gathered, he sensed the tension in the air. "Everyone, we have some troubling news," he began, his voice firm, though his heart was pounding. "One of our ideas is being targeted by a competitor. We need to act quickly." "How did we find out?" asked one of the executives with a skeptical look. "We received information that they're eyeing what we're developing here," Daniel replied, trying to remain calm. "We must protect our intellectual property, and more importantly, we need to maintain the integrity of our project with Lily." The room fell silent, each person absorbing the seriousness of the situation. Daniel knew that his relationship with Lily was at stake, and this terrified him even more than the possibility of losing his company. After the meeting, he met Lily at a nearby cafe. The atmosphere was tense, and he saw her nervously stirring the spoon in her coffee cup. "Daniel, you're very quiet. What happened in the meeting?" she asked, concerned. "I found out that the competition is trying to steal your ideas. I can't let that happen, not just for the company's sake, but for you as well," he confessed, his gaze fixed on hers. Lily sighed, her eyes reflecting a mix of emotion and fear. "I don't want to go through this again. My last project ended in disaster because of a former partner's betrayal. I'm afraid to commit." Daniel, sensing the pain she carried, decided to get closer. "I understand, Lily, but we need to be strong. Together, we have a better chance of overcoming this. I can't imagine my future without you." She looked at him, and the connection between them deepened. The fear was still present, but determination also began to blossom. "You're right. Let's fight for this, Daniel," she said, with a new spark of hope in her eyes. As the two shared their ideas, a new plan began to take shape. Daniel realized that, regardless of the challenges ahead, facing them alongside Lily was the only thing that really mattered. As the pressure on Daniel mounted, he found himself in a maze of risky decisions. With each passing day, his company's situation became more critical. He remained in his office, surrounded by financial reports and red charts, but his mind couldn't drift away from Lily. The tension between the two was growing, and Daniel knew he needed to find a balance between saving his company and protecting the budding relationship. On a particularly tense morning, Daniel decided to meet with Lily to discuss the ideas she had developed. He found her in the office cafe, where she was sitting, engrossed in her sketches. "Lily," he began, his voice heavy with concern. "We need to talk about the project. Time is running out, and the competition is closing in." She looked up, her blue eyes reflecting a mix of determination and vulnerability. "I know, Daniel. I'm aware of the pressure we're facing, but we can't let it affect us. We need to focus on what we can do to stand out." Daniel took a deep breath, admiring her confidence. "You're right, but what if we can't? What if all this ends in failure, just like it did with your old startup?" The last sentence hung in the air, heavy and painful. Lily bit her lip, recalling the past she so desperately tried to escape. "I don't want to talk about that. I'm here because I believe in us and our project. We need to focus on the present." The frustration in her voice was palpable, and Daniel realized that the conversation was taking an unwanted turn. "I believe in us too, but I can't ignore reality, Lily. With each passing day, I'm more worried about our financial situation." The tension between them grew, and Daniel felt the weight of unspoken words hanging over the table. "You're more worried about saving your company than our relationship," Lily responded, her voice firm, but with a tremor that betrayed her insecurity. "I feel like you're distancing yourself from me, like I'm just a tool for you." Daniel remained silent, the pain in her words hitting him like an arrow. "That's not what I want, not at all. I'm just trying to ensure we don't lose everything." "You mean a lot to me, Lily." He leaned towards her, trying to close the distance that seemed to have grown between them. "Then prove it," she challenged, her gaze fixed on his. "Prove that you care more about me than the numbers on your desk." Those words echoed in Daniel's mind, and he realized she was right. He allowed himself to relax a bit, pushing aside the worries that surrounded him. "Okay, let's work together. What do you suggest we do to stand out in the market?" Lily smiled, the tension slowly easing. "We need to be bold. Let's create a campaign that showcases not just our product, but also our story. What makes us unique? People connect to stories, and ours could be the key to success." As they discussed their ideas, the atmosphere between them began to shift. Lily's excitement was contagious, and Daniel began to see a way forward. But the shadow of the competition continued to loom, and he knew that things were far from resolved. Later, as they walked through the office, Lily suddenly stopped. "Daniel, have you noticed that some of my inventions have been copied? I was approached by a supplier who mentioned a competitor using concepts I developed." Daniel's heart raced. "That's unacceptable. We need to act quickly. Let's go to a lawyer together and investigate this. We can't let this happen to you, Lily." The determination in his voice reflected how much he cared for her. "Thank you, Daniel," Lily said, the gratitude evident in her gaze. "I don't know what I would do without you by my side." But even with those words of support, a shadow of doubt crossed her face. Was Daniel truly by her side, or was he just trying to save his own skin? The tension in the air was palpable, and Daniel felt an urgent need to reaffirm his commitment. "We're in this together, Lily. I don't want you to feel alone. Let's fight for this, for us." She nodded, but the sparkle in her eyes was overshadowed by silent worries. The future was still uncertain, and the shadows of competition and personal insecurities seemed always to be lurking. Meanwhile, Daniel struggled to find a way to balance the challenges of the business world with the deep feelings he harbored for Lily. Daniel paced back and forth in his office, his mind torn between work and Lily's absence. The glass walls surrounding his workspace reflected his emotional state, clear on the outside, but dark and turbulent on the inside. He looked out at the city that stretched before his eyes, full of lights and opportunities, but still felt an emptiness that no financial success could fill. Why was it so difficult? He murmured to himself, remembering the heated argument they had the night before. The frustration had built up, and in a moment of despair, the words came out sharper than he intended. "I'm just trying to save the company, Lily." He recalled how she had looked at him with sadness, as if the distance between them had grown with each harsh word. The image of her, with her bright eyes and helpless expression, haunted him all night. Meanwhile, in a cozy downtown cafe, Lily sat at a corner table, surrounded by other entrepreneurs seeking support and inspiration. She observed the lively conversations around her, but her mind was elsewhere. The group discussed strategies, shared failures and victories, and even though Lily tried to engage, her head was occupied with Daniel. What should have been a moment of renewal and learning quickly became a reminder of how much she missed him. "Are you okay, Lily?" A woman with curly hair sitting next to her interrupted. "You seem to be somewhere else." She smiled shyly, trying to hide the confusion she felt. "Just thinking about some things. It's hard not to feel a little lost sometimes." "I understand. I've been through that. Sometimes we need to remind ourselves that we're not alone on this journey. Let's support each other." The woman smiled warmly, and Lily felt a little more comforted. The idea of connecting with other people facing similar challenges began to brighten her thoughts. "You're right," Lily replied, deciding to open up a little more. "I'm dealing with a complicated moment. My relationship and my work are intertwined in a way I never imagined they would be." The group began to share their experiences, and gradually, Lily found strength in the stories of those women. She realized that even amidst pain, there was learning and growth. The conversation made her reflect on her own situation with Daniel. She knew he was struggling to save the company, but her feelings seemed increasingly distant, as if they were in a separate bubble. Meanwhile, in his office, Daniel decided he needed to act. The thought of losing Lily tormented him. He realized that to be successful, he couldn't just focus on numbers and charts. He also needed to reconnect with what really mattered. He picked up his phone and hesitated for a moment, but finally decided to call her. "Lily, it's Daniel," he said, his voice full of emotion. I'm sorry for what happened. Can we talk?" On the other end of the line, the silence was deafening. "Daniel, I don't know. I'm trying to process all this." "I understand, but you mean a lot to me, and I don't want our relationship to get lost in the middle of business. We can find a way to balance things, I promise." Lily took a deep breath. "I miss you too, but we need to be honest with each other. I don't want this to become even more of a burden. Let's take it one step at a time. How about coffee as friends? No business, just the two of us." She hesitated, but the memory of the good moments they had shared began to warm her heart. "Okay, coffee, just that." The conversation ended with a slight touch of hope. Both knew they needed to face their insecurities and that the journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but at least they were willing to try. In the following days, Daniel dedicated himself to investigating the company's situation. He couldn't let the stress drive him away from Lily, but he also knew that the truth was necessary for them to move forward. The restlessness grew inside him. Something was wrong, and he needed to find out what. Hours passed as he analyzed financial reports and talked to team members. Every discovery seemed to lead to more questions, and the feeling of betrayal began to settle in his mind. Before he could identify it, a sudden idea crossed his mind. He would need to confront the truth, not just to save his company, but also to ensure that Lily wouldn't feel betrayed again. What he didn't know was that the answer he was searching for was closer than he could imagine. Daniel was nervous as he waited for Lily at an elegant cafe, a place they used to frequent when things between them were lighter and more relaxed. He knew he needed to tell the truth about the betrayal in his company, but the idea of further destabilizing their relationship made him uneasy. When he finally saw Lily walk in, his heart raced. She looked radiant, though a bit apprehensive, as if she could feel the tension in the air. "Hi, Daniel," she said, with a hesitant smile. "You called me urgently. What happened?" "Hi, Lily," he replied, gesturing for her to sit down. "I have something important to tell you, something that could change everything." Lily's expression changed instantly, and he noticed that her anxiety turned into concern. "What happened? Is it about the company?" "Yes, it's about that. I found out that one of my executives is in collusion with our competition. He's trying to sabotage our projects, and this could affect not just the company, but you too," Daniel explained, his voice a bit shaky. Lily frowned. "How did you discover this?" "I found some evidence, messages exchanged that confirm his involvement. But more importantly, I want you to know that I'm not alone in this. We need to join forces to face this situation," Daniel said, trying to convey the seriousness of the situation. "You're not alone, Daniel. I've also faced betrayals in my career. I feel like, somehow, this connects us even more," Lily replied, her voice soft but firm. "We can fight together." A wave of relief washed over Daniel. He wasn't just sharing the burden of responsibility, but also strengthening the bond that had formed between them. Yes, I want you to feel part of this. We need a bold plan to recover the company and expose the traitor. Lily leaned forward, her eyes shining with determination. What do you have in mind? Together, we can create something that not only withstands the competition, but also shows the strength of our vision. We can use our latest project as a showcase. If we can present our innovative ideas and show what we're capable of creating, we can not only regain the trust of investors, but also put the competition in its place, Daniel suggested, excited about the new perspective. That's brilliant. Let's work on it. I already have some ideas that could fit perfectly, Lily said, her eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. The connection between them seemed stronger than ever, and the tension that once existed was dissipating. The two spent the next few hours sketching a plan, discussing every detail, and aligning their visions. With each shared laugh, with each exchange of ideas, Daniel felt that his relationship with Lily was transforming. They were a team, not just in business, but in something much deeper. Daniel, I feel like we're doing more than just working on a project. We're creating something that could change our lives, Lily commented, looking into his eyes. I've never felt like this before. I feel the same way, Lily. You've brought a light into my life that I didn't know I needed. Together, we can overcome anything, he replied, his voice full of sincerity. The confidence and connection they had quickly became the solid foundation on which they could rely. They were ready to face the adversity ahead, and that brought them even closer. The day of the presentation was approaching, and with it, the opportunity not only to save Daniel's company, but also to solidify their relationship in a way they never imagined. Both knew the battle was far from over, but together, they were ready for any challenge that might arise. Hand in hand, they were ready to fight for their dreams and a future they now seemed to share. The auditorium was packed, and the tension was palpable. Daniel and Lily stood on the stage, ready to present the new project that could save his company. Daniel's heart was pounding, not just because of the importance of what was about to happen, but also because of Lily's presence by his side. He glanced at her quickly, seeking comfort in her gaze. What he didn't know was that at that exact moment, the truth would finally be revealed. As they began the presentation, Lily made a dramatic pause, a nervous smile on her lips. Before we start, I'd like to share something that I believe is crucial to what we're about to present. She turned to the screen behind them, where a series of documents and correspondences began to appear. Daniel frowned, a chill in his stomach. What was she doing? These documents, Lily continued, are proof that our competitor was using information that should have remained confidential. The murmur among the audience grew. This information was leaked by someone within our own company. The tension rose like a wire about to snap, and Daniel felt everyone's gaze turn to him as if they were expecting a reaction. Lily then turned to Daniel, her gaze challenging. And I'm sure everyone knows who that person is. She gestured to the audience. It's our Chief Technology Officer, Roberto. The shock was instant. Daniel felt his legs give way as the revelation spread through the room like wildfire. He had never suspected Roberto, a close friend and one of the pillars of his team. How could you do this? Daniel murmured to himself, but the words came out more like a whisper of despair. The audience's reaction was intense. Some stood up, murmuring among themselves, while others looked incredulous. The atmosphere had changed drastically. Daniel, Lily said, her voice firm, we can't allow him to continue with this betrayal. We need to expose him now. She turned to the audience again, confidence radiating from her. We're ready not only to present our innovation, but also to protect what's ours. This project is the future of our company. Daniel took a deep breath, feeling a wave of relief and gratitude for Lily. He realized that, regardless of what happened next, she had become more than a business partner. She was his ally. Let's continue, he said, his voice stronger now, together. And so they presented the project, a new app that would not only revolutionize how people interacted with technology, but also show how transparency and trust were essential in the business world. The audience was visibly impressed, and the energy that had been tense was now filled with optimism and excitement. At the end of the presentation, as the applause echoed through the auditorium, Daniel turned to Lily, his eyes shining. "You were incredible," he said, a radiant smile on his face. "I wouldn't have been able to do it without you." "We're in this together," she replied, her smile reflecting the same intensity in her heart. "And now, about what happened with Roberto." "He will be held accountable," Daniel stated, his voice firm. "But more importantly, we need to focus on what really matters, us." He hesitated, feeling that this was the right moment. "Lily, I want you to know that, beyond being my business partner, you've become someone essential in my life. I'm ready to take the next step. Will you date me?" Lily's eyes lit up, and a contagious smile spread across her face. "Yes, Daniel. Yes." Her response was a breath of hope and happiness. The celebration began, with the team and investors applauding and congratulating the couple. Daniel and Lily looked at each other, both aware that despite the challenges they might still face, they were ready to face them together. They had overcome betrayals, misunderstandings, and insecurities, and now, more than ever, they were determined to thrive. And so, as everyone toasted to the project's success and the bright future ahead, a new chapter opened for Daniel and Lily. A future where love and trust would be the foundation of everything, both in business and in life. Lily's ex-partner, who had caused so much pain, was now just a shadow of the past, while Daniel and Lily prepared to build something extraordinary together. Now, take a moment to think. How many times in your life have you helped someone without that person knowing who was really behind that help? Or perhaps you've wondered if the value people see in you goes beyond what you do for them. How about reflecting on that? Could it be that true love and recognition come from where you expect? With this story, you can learn that often the impact we have on the world is silent but powerful. And if you identified with this message, take the opportunity to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now. In my opinion, this is one of the best stories I've ever told. And if you liked what you just heard, without a doubt, you'll love this other story as well. So subscribe to the channel, click on the video that's on your screen now, and I'll see you in a few seconds.